Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating historical fable from ancient Baghdad. Now, honestly, it sounds a lot like a myth, but it actually carries this deeply profound psychological breakdown of human avarice. We're going to unpack exactly how unchecked desires can just completely destroy a person's life. Let's jump right in. Strike my cheek or take your money back. We are starting our story right in the middle of the action with this incredibly bizarre demand. I mean, just imagine walking down the street, offering a beggar a coin, and that is what they say to you. Well, that was the exact situation faced by Caliph Omar bin Salah, the ruler of the land. And it instantly hooks us into a mystery we absolutely have to solve. Why in the world would a beggar refuse charity unless he's physically punished? All right, so to really understand how we got here, we've got to set the scene. Picture the golden age of Baghdad. It's this vibrant, sensory-rich hub. We're talking bustling streets filled with the heavy scent of spice markets, the beautiful sounds of minarets echoing over the Tigris River, and the just rule of Caliph Omar bin Saleh. The Caliph was actually known for disguising himself in ordinary clothes at night. He'd roam these very streets purely so he could understand the true, unfiltered struggles of his people. Section 1. The strange blind beggar. So, when the disguised caliph stumbles across this beggar in the old market, things get strange fast. The beggar is sitting there silently in torn clothes, but he fiercely rejects the disguised caliph's charity. He actually grabs the caliph's hand and begs for a slap. And when the caliph finally, reluctantly gives him a light slap across the cheek, the beggar doesn't cry out in pain. No, he shows immense relief. He even starts praying in gratitude. This completely baffles the caliph. It literally keeps him awake all night until he ultimately summons the blind beggar to the royal court to uncover the truth behind this weird self-inflicted punishment. Section 2. A fateful desert encounter. Okay, so now we're in the royal court. The beggar introduces himself as Abdullah, and he begins this fateful flashback, taking us from his tragic present straight back to his wealthy past. Because at dawn, Abdullah wasn't a beggar at all. He was actually one of the wealthiest, most prideful merchants in all of Baghdad. By midday, he's traveling toward Basra, boasting this massive caravan of 100 camels loaded with unimaginable fortunes in silk and spices. But by the afternoon, the whole narrative pivots. He separates slightly from his caravan in the scorching desert heat, and he encounters a simple, modest ascetic, a dervish, just resting quietly in the shade of a rock. They share some water, and of course, Abdullah immediately starts bragging about his immense wealth. But the dervish, he just smiles with a bit of pity and drops this monumental line. He tells him that true wealth is hidden right nearby, wealth so vast it makes Abdullah's 100 camels look like a mere handful of sand. And that is the crucial point, how those profound words instantly ignite this fatal spark of insatiable greed right inside Abdullah's heart. Section 3. The Hidden Treasure Cave. As you can guess, Abdullah is hooked immediately. He practically begs the dervish to take him to this treasure, which leads them way off the main path to a mysterious, dangerous location wedged between two massive black mountains. The dervish lights a fire of dry thorns, throws in this strange red powder, and a thick blue smoke spirals right into the sky. He chants an ancient prayer, the ground violently shakes, and with a deafening roar, these two massive black rocks split wide open. And inside, it isn't just a dark cave. It's a glittering ancient city. I mean, mountains of gold, silver, and blinding jewels are just lying there, waiting to be taken. Now, you've really got to notice the stark contrast here. Abdullah goes into an absolute frenzy. He is frantically loading all 100 of his camels with as much heavy gold as they can physically carry. Now, they had a prior agreement that dictated a strict 50-50 split, so 50 camels of treasure for each of them. But while Abdullah is sweating over the gold, the dervish completely ignores the towering riches. Instead, he calmly digs up this tiny, mysterious wooden box containing coal, or kajal, and just tucks it safely into his pocket. Moving into Section 4, the escalation of greed. With the treasure loaded, the cave seals back up and they begin their journey home. And this is where we see Abdullah's greed just rapidly spiral completely out of control. First, they split the camels 50-50, as agreed, but as they walk, Abdullah's mind starts working overdrive. He begs the dervish for 10 camels, arguing, a holy man doesn't really need so much wealth. The dervish smiles and agrees, but Abdullah keeps chipping away. He manipulates the dervish with new excuses until he is taking back all 100 camels. And the dervish hands them over without a single complaint. But guess what? It's still not enough. Abdullah remembers that tiny wooden box, and he demands that too. Let's pause and define exactly what is happening in Abdullah's mind right now. Greed isn't just wanting things, it acts like an internal parasite. Abdullah's internal monologue convinced him that the dervish was too naive, that he'd probably just get robbed, that he didn't quote unquote deserve or need the wealth. Abdullah truly believed that as a master merchant, he was the only rightful owner. Greed completely blinded his conscience, erasing every single ounce of gratitude for the very man who just made him the richest person in the world. Section 5. The Ultimate Price. So, the dervish reluctantly hands over the tiny wooden box, but he issues a dire, mystical warning about the magic coal hidden inside. And here is the tragic irony. Based on these rules crafted by ancient jinns, if you apply it to the left eye, you can see right through the earth like glass, revealing all the hidden worldly treasures. But if applied to the right eye, it brings eternal darkness and incurable blindness. The dervish carefully applies just a pinch to Abdullah's left eye, and instantly, Abdullah can see glittering veins of gold and ancient treasures buried deep beneath the desert floor. But rather than being satisfied, Abdullah just loses his mind to avarice. He's thinking, well, if the left eye shows me this much, the right eye must give me the power to actually control it all. He lets suspicion and overwhelming greed completely take the wheel. He shouts at the dervish, accusing the holy man of tricking him, of wanting to hold him back. He literally forces the dervish's hand, demanding the coal be applied to his right eye immediately. The dervish, filled with pity at this point, applies the coal to Abdullah's right eye, warning him one last time that humans choose their own fate. And the immediate, devastating aftermath is stark. The absolute second the coal touches his right eye, an impenetrable black wall drops over Abdullah's vision. He's instantly and incurably blind. And the dervish, he just takes the 100 camels of gold and walks away, leaving the blind, weeping Abdullah right in the middle of the scorching desert. Zero sight, zero wealth. And finally, Section 6, a timeless moral lesson. Bringing the narrative back to the present day in the royal court, Abdullah finishes his heartbreaking confession to a now weeping caliph. After being abandoned by the dervish, Abdullah nearly died in that desert until a passing caravan eventually rescued him and brought him back to Baghdad. Now a totally destitute beggar, he demands a daily slap not for his body, but to punish his dormant conscience. It's a constant reminder of how his own unchecked desires ruined him. Caliph Omar bin Saleh is deeply moved by this. He realizes that a person's greatest enemy isn't an invading army, it's the greed lurking inside their own heart. But he also recognizes Abdullah's immense bravery in openly confessing this totally self-inflicted downfall. Because of that honesty, Abdullah's story doesn't end in the gutter. He is given sanctuary near the palace. He transforms from a cursed beggar into a highly respected, wise teacher. Every single day, young merchants, students, and even royal ministers come to sit by him. And he teaches them the most valuable lesson of all. True wealth isn't gold or 100 camels. True wealth is a content, greed-free mind. Because an eye that cannot be satisfied with what it has will eventually lose the ability to see the light at all. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to step back from those ancient streets of Baghdad and ask you to look at your own life for a second. Are you controlling your desires, or are they controlling you? It is a really fine line between ambition and the kind of greed that blinds us to what truly matters. Keep that thought with you today, and I hope this story helps you keep your own vision clear. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey.